This is a something like a small scale of VPC. Small scale of VPC. So why this is not accessible from here to here? Because this network is configured not to receive the data. Scope is local, and if you want to make it a scope little bit outside of it, then you need to have configure the port forwarding, the routing, and all stuff like that, and that you can talk to this network and all. So basically, when you this is the one network, this is one network, and when we club these two network, we call it like merging two network or something like that. So at a simple level, this is the VPC. Now let's put it in the context of AWS. So this is the region. Okay. Now in this region, this is a one availability zone, and this is another availability zone. Let's divide in this way. So here, this is the availability zone. Now here you have millions of accounts. I'll just change the color. Millions of accounts in one region. Now, why I'm making this across this, you understand that, right? All of you? Correct now? Hello? So because this user will access this availability zone also, this availability zone also. So now this user need to run VMs, virtual machines. Thus, this user also running the virtual machines. Now the question is, these virtual machines should not be accessible from each other. It's a one reason only, one data center only, but it should not be accessible from each other. So that is the problem. What AWS has it, and for that, what AWS has done it. They said, hey, do one thing: set up a VPC first, and then create instance VMs in your VPC. VPC means set up your network first, and then create instance. Let's say if you go Office, that is also one network actually, Office network. And then if you see that next to your office, there's one more office in the same building. They have set up also one network. So they need to set up their own network, and then they will create an instance and connect to that network. For example, I have, think simple guys always. I have two Wi-Fi at home and few dongles. Okay, so let's say two Wi-Fi and two dongles. So how many network I'm having it right now? 4. So I will decide which one to connect. That means this laptop or mobile, I will decide which network to connect, and accordingly, I'll be a part of that network to connecting with the whole world. You need to be a part of network, correct? Without being a part of network, you cannot send a packet to on the network, and if you can't send the packet to the network, you can't communicate with the world. Are you understanding? So now AWS suggested, hey, do one thing, create your own network. And that is the sessions which I'm going to cover right now. Okay, so networking with Amazon VPC. So what is a VPC? So VPC is a place where you can provision a private, isolated virtual network on AWS cloud. Let me do one thing. Let me show you first that options. So at least your fears will be going off. So where is that? Here it is. So just select this VPC under the network, click on here. Now it's a one services which has hundreds of other services also. Okay, so you see that here. Now left side, you see you have a VPC, you have a subnet, you have a route tables, you have internet gateway, you have ingress only internet gateway, carrier gateway, DSCP option sets, elastic IP and all these things, So if you are a networking guru, basically you have everything at one place. Everything. We will not be able to use all of this because it'll become a 2 to 3 days of sessions altogether. But we will use one of few of the services, fundamental one, like VPC, subnet, route table. We need a one gateway for it and NAT gateway and all stuff like that. So this is the area. Okay, all of you. So what is VPC? Is so you can using these services you can provision a cloud private isolated virtual network on the AWS cloud, and you have a complete control over virtual networking environment. Okay, so let's understand a little bit of networking concept. So I am assuming most of you must be knowing about it just for the intro purpose. A network is of two or more computer linked to share resources, exchange files, or allow electronic communications. These are the type of network. We have a LAN and then we have WAN. So, multiple LANs coming together and creating a WAN. This whole world is a collections of WAN. Collections of LAN. So you are also right now you are in home, right? So you are also on LAN. I'm also on LAN, and then we all combine together is creating one WAN, wide area network, and that is how we communicate. Now you say, okay, I will not allow someone to connect to my network. You can do that. I will say I will not allow someone to connect to my network. I can do that. That's called private network. Okay, so we understand this one. Here, there is a physical and logical topology. The physical topology define how the systems are physically connected, and logical topology define how the system communicates across a physical topology. So you see that for every physical network to and hardware devices. So I think you should understand this image. So there is a switches you have, firewalls, network firewalls you'll have, routers you'll have, and then you connect your virtual machines or laptop or mobile to that switches, and through the switches it connect to the other servers and all stuff like that. And from outside, if the internet is coming, you see that it's coming from the router. Okay, so nowadays switches and router is coming built in. That's the reason we don't complicate too much. So switches, routers, firewalls, all these things coming built in, and that is how you connect. So look at the left side one. From the router, you got into the firewall into the switches, and from the switches, you connect to different machines. So this image is pretty simple. All of you understood this? Now, one thing, please remember that for getting the internet from outside to your box, routing is important. Routing is important. Okay, and firewall is also important. The firewall here, which services which firewall? Anyone? We have already learned that. So which services we use? Security group. Yeah. So yep, that component you are very familiar. The one firewall which we are talking about is basically network firewall. In operating system also there's one firewall which in our case, in our session demo, all these were disabled because I used the AMIs which was having disabled firewall, but you can enable manually also. Okay, so remember that from the internet gateway, you need a router to transfer the traffic to the your switches. So switches, it can be act like a one network. So here VPC and subnet. Now what is subnet? So see here, subnet means a simple way if I say, see there's one large network which you create. Uh, let's talk about the office. So office, we have a large network. and large network means large LAN. So what we want actually, we want to give access to internet to all the employees. That is one thing. At the same time, we want to run some servers where we don't want to give a internet to those servers, because servers, we don't want that to be accessible towards internet or outside of the world, something like that, incoming also, outgoing, whatever it is. So what to do? So what we do usually, we divide one big network into this few small network. Okay, so we say, hey, this is a one large network, and then we divide into few small network. And at the small network level, I repeat, at the small network level, you do the configurations. We should get internet, and we should not get internet. For example, let's understand this way. There is a large network. Okay. Now, in this large network, typically network administrator, what they do, they create a small network. Okay. And this is a small network. And inside that, you can run your laptop. So I don't have a laptop sign. So this is a laptop. Okay. This is laptop. Okay. Now here we want the internet, to be here, but we don't want internet here. So that means if you don't want internet here, this machine you don't want internet. So what you should do, you should create in a this subnet or this subnet. If you want the internet here, if you want the internet in the compute, means EC2 instance, you should keep that machines servers in the that particular small network. Okay, so this is the way concept. Here you can do not only this one, many things you can do that. You can write ACLs for this, ACLs for this. You can write for routing for this and this. So many things you can do it and control this network. You can have security groups separate for that. So all these things you can do that. Are you able to understand this? All of you? Hello? So what we call it actually, we don't call it small network. In networking terminology, we call it a subnet. Okay, subnet. So subnet basically is a part of the network VPC. So a subnet define a range of IP address in your VPC. That means what happens? Here we set a CIDR global. This is the VPC, okay, and a VPC big network. And this we call it as this we define as CIDR. What is a CIDR? Anyone would like to share that knowledge? Network, yes. IP range available for that network. Let's say I'll show you the simple. My computer is a Windows IP config, and my CIDR should be. See here, my gateway is this one. Subnet mask is this. Default gateway. Oh no, not this one. Sorry. So here, look at this. So I got IPv6 because of my Airtel broadband, and this is my IP4, and this is my subnet mask, and this is my gateway. So I think the CIDR is set for 192.168.1.1/16. So that's a CIDR. So CIDR is basically network IP range, and the first IP address always blocked for gateway. Will you remember this? All of you? Hello? First IP address always blocked for the gateway, and then my IP address is this one. Okay, so now here I was discussing about a subnet defines a range of IP addresses in your VPC. You can launch AWS resources into a subnet that you select. Private subnet should be used for resources that won't be accessible over the internet. public subnet should be used for the resources that will be accessed over the internet. Resources means virtual servers. Each subnet must reside entirely within one availability zone and cannot span zones. This is important. Last statement is important. So here, let me create a one region first. This is a one region, okay, and here this is a availability zone. So I'll write it here. This is AJ1 and this is AJ2. Now, when you create a network, understand that I'm creating a network. When you create a network, it should be across the edges, okay. But when you create a subnet, then it will become a edge specific 1 and 2. Okay, and then inside that you can go ahead and create a virtual machines. For example, here 1 machine, 2 machine, 3 machine. Are you able to understand this? Are you able to understand this? Yeah. So this is subnet and this is the VA. Okay. So please understand this again. Please read this. A subnet define a range of IP address. So here, what will happen? This all this subnet you create, this will have a CIDR range, and this one will be having CIDR range also. CIDR. Now, one thing which you need to note it down here. This CIDR will be within the VPC CIDR. You cannot define a CIDR of subnet which is not in the range of VPC. So first you declare the VPC CIDR, then you decide the subnet CIDR. And subnet CIDR should be unique and within the range of VPC only. Okay, so that is a step. So look at this image. This is something we will try to create it. Okay, so here you see that here you have a one public subnet and then one private subnet as part of the VPC. Now, if you look at it very carefully, the web servers are running in a public subnet and in a private subnet, app servers are running. Now, if you see one thing on top of it, there is a one called R. All of you see that R is connecting many dots actually. All of you are seeing that? So R basically is called routes. Okay, routes. Or in a physical world, it's a router. R means router, but here in AWS we call it route. Okay. So here, see that on top of that there's one internet gateway. Look at it. So what happens from the internet comes from the internet gateway. Understand that you access the internet through the internet gateway. Now internet gateway read the routes actually. Okay, internet gateway read the routes rule. Whatever the packet you get it, routing rule is been set. Packet is over the LAN, I mean wire and whatever it is. So routing will say, hey, you should go to here and you should not go to here. Okay, so here if you see that the public subnet is getting an internet gateway. Public subnet is getting an internet from the internet gateway, whereas private subnet is not getting internet from the internet gateway. So what do we do in this case? So if you want this image little bit confusing because I'll put it in a simple way. It's a good image, but little bit confusing because I'm not able to locate the places. So this is a VPC, and this is your public subnet. This is your private subnet. Pub subnet. and this one will be private subnet. Now, this VPC get the internet from the IGW, Internet Gateway. Now, see, the internet is coming like this to Internet Gateway, and Internet Gateway is reading the route table. That sign was missing, so this is the reason. Reading the route table. A route table is saying, hey, don't go here, don't go here. No, just go here. That means all the packets is allowed to public subnet. Now inside the public subnet, if you have a VMs running, these VMs get an internet. Are you understanding now so far? Now what is happening? Then private subnets machines is not having internet. Then there is a problem here. Problem means, see, in the private subnet, those machines which are running, you may have to have a patching requirement. Means patching is you have to update the operating system, or you want to download some packages which is very important for you, or something like that. Antivirus update you might want to do that. So guys, these machines also you need an internet. So what we'll do? So we don't want to expose to the internet directly. So what we do, we'll play a trick. Please remember that. What we play a trick. What we do, we create one VMs here. Okay, one virtual machines. And if I create a VM here, I get internet. Correct? All of you? All of you? Hello? If I create a VM, I get the internet. So what we are saying, hey, do one thing. This all the subnet we say, hey, take the internet from here. See here. We all are saying, hey, this subnet, private subnet, take the internet from here, and this internet anyways you are getting. So this machine, the one which I draw, what we call it, anyone? NAT gateway. Understood now? All of you? So here, if you see that this image, you have a NAT gateway. So probably you see that here. This is a VPC NAT gateway. You see that here. So it's taking internet. See, private subnet is taking internet from the NAT gateway. So NAT gateway, this NAT gateway is nothing but one image itself. I mean, one machine itself, which is running in the public subnet. So look at this image here, and then probably you will be able to understand. So see that here. Here we are saying, hey, internet to public subnet, yes. Internet to private subnet directly, no. That we all declare in the routing table. But sometime private network also you need a network internet. So we get it from the VPC NAT gateway. All of you are understanding now this image? Yeah. But by the way, guys, you can create, there is one more subnet here in this image where you have a database server. Database servers, you can create a virtual private gateway also. That is out of the scope right now, will not complicate. So yes, we will try to create VPC. Let me help you. VPC, subnet, route gateway, internet gateway, NAT gateway, all these things we need to create and then connect it together. This can be done automatically also and manually also. Okay, so let's move on. So here, how do we manage the security in VPC? So yes, we have a security group, which you know that. So security groups you can apply to the subnet level also. That is very much possible. Now security groups you can apply to virtual machines also and here also. So have it separate security group. That's the best way. So security groups, network ACLs. ACLs also can be used for securing your VPC from other VPCs. Key pairs, I think you know that. Key pairs is for the virtual machines. So these are the way you can secure. Okay, so here VPN connections. So which are the VPN's connectivity options available with AWS? So AWS allow you to connect with AWS hardware VPN, AWS Direct Connect, AWS VPN Cloud Hub, and software VPN. So these are the options available if you want to enable. Uh, 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 Sorry. So yeah, so hardware VPN and stuff like that. So yep, overall a VPC private cloud network is a virtual network dedicated to your AWS account. It is logically isolated from other virtual networks in the AWS cloud. VPC allows you to select its IP address range, CIDR, create subnet, create route tables, network gateway, and security settings. When you create a VPC, you specify the set of IP addresses from the VPC in the form of classless inter-domain routing CIDR block. For example, this one, which allow this much of IP address available within your VPC. It's possible to specify the range of publicly routable IP addresses. Direct access to the internet is not currently supported from publicly routable CIDR block in the VPC. Difference between region and availability zone, we know that, so I'll not complicate, but understand that uh, VPC it's for the region. Please hardcode VPC is for the region, but when you create a subnet, it has to be a part of availability zone. All of you are agree with it, right? Yeah. So CIDR, something like that, you can see that CIDR block from private non-publicly routable IP address can be assigned to an VPC. It's possible to specify the range of publicly routable IP addresses. Direct access to the internet is not currently supported from a public. CIDR, once a block, once assigned to the VPC, cannot be modified. Okay, each VPC is separate from any other VPC created with the same CIDR block, even if it is residing in the same AWS account. VPC allow VPC peering connection with other VPC within the same or different VPC account. Deletions again, we will show you. Private IP address, you understand that private IP address are not reachable over the internet, can be used for communication between the instances in your VPC. So we have already understood all this stuff. Public IP address also we have understood. Okay, so some of the stuff you should hardcode. Public IP addresses are reachable over the internet, can be used for communication between your instances and the internet or other AWS services that have a public endpoints. Public IP addresses assignment to the instance depends if the public address is enabled for the subnet. Remember, public IP address is enabled for the service. So whatever the VPC and subnet we were using, actually it was having enabled by AWS for each of using AWS. So because of that, we were able to get the public IP address. Public IP address can also be assigned to instance by enabling the public IP address during the creation of instance. Public IP address is assigned from AWS pool of IP addresses, and it is not associated with the AWS account, hence released when the instance is stopped or restarted. Elastic IP address, we have shown you the demo also. So we know that elastic IP addresses are static, persistent public IP addresses which can be associated and deassociated with the instance as required. Like elastic IP address is allocated at VPC and owned by the account unless released. A network interface can be assigned either public or EIP. If you assign an instance with a public IP and elastic IP, the public IP is released, which I have shown you. Elastic IP addresses can move from one instance to another, and the instance can be within the same VPC or different VPC with the same account. Elastic IPs are charged for non-usage, we discussed, and if it is not associated with a stopped instance or unattached network interface. Okay, there's one more things which we have, a virtual network interface, ENI we call it. So this is a very important. Please read this. So each instance is attached with default elastic network interface. If you go and see that, it is here and you'll remember more.
Hello everyone, if you would like to access the remaining videos of this playlist of 50 plus more tools which are coming under DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, DataOps, GitOps, etc. Kindly become our channel members by clicking on the joining button. You would have access to hundreds of playlists and 1000s of videos lifetime access with this membership. Enjoy.
Thanks for watching. Want to study further? Join our training programs today.